What's up, guys? Welcome back to Courtside Chronicles Cafe. I'm CJ Williams, and today we have a very special birthday edition for my friend Lala Burney.
Hey guys, round of applause. What's today? Hey y'all, I'm Lala.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming.
So,
First off, I wanted to start with tell us about like where you're from and like just basically your life back home. Growing up and where you came from.
all right, that's a long story, but I'll make it quick. So I'm from Palmdale, California. I grew up in a house of a single mom, 6 kids, three boys, three girls. We're all athletes. Very close knit family. Wasn't an easy life. Grew up, in like poverty, homelessness, stuff like that. Kind of pretty much got it out the mud type, went to high school and straight from high school got a scholarship to go to college at Florida A&M.
Ooh, FAMU. My dad's an alum of
Yeah,
FAMU.
yeah.
What I'm saying? The Rattlers. The Rattlers. Yeah. So, what made you choose FAMU? Like, how was your recruiting process and everything?
Because of the small city that I'm from, it wasn't really, what's the word, likely that most people get a scholarship straight out of college. So I was the first girl out of my high school to get a 4-year scholarship.
Okay.
And my brother was the first boy out of our high school, and he was 4 years behind me.
Oh wow.
To get a scholarship out of college, but he played football. That's what football.
Yeah.
So for me, yeah, small knit, small city, Palmdale in the desert. Yeah. But the way I got it wasn't even because like I had good stats, of course, but I went to a Black College Expo and I ran into one of the alumni, president of the alumni from FAMU. And he came up to me, he was like, "You ball?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Gave him my information. 3 months later, I'm getting a call from Florida A&M saying, "We've been watching you for months. One of the alumni reached out to us and we'd like to offer you to come on a visit." And I said, "Okay." So in the same, I don't know how we get. I don't know how to make my number. Oh, because I gave it to him. So anyways, in the same phone call after I talked to, it was the assistant coach. I talked to him for like 2 hours. My family's downstairs making dinner and everything, and he said, "We also like to offer you a 4-year scholarship." So I'm stuck because like what? And I've applied and I've sent my tape out to coaches because like in my city we don't have that much help. So I had to like do it on my own, and I've gotten coaches write me back like, "Okay, yes, we're interested, but this and that." So nothing was ever for sure, but I know I didn't want to pay for college for sure. Mm-hmm. So it was a lot of prayer that went into that. Yeah. So once he was like, "Okay, we'd also like to offer you a scholarship," I ran downstairs to my mom. And like my whole family was there, and I have the video somewhere. But that's like, nice, they was all doing the nene was the nene was popular at this. They started doing the nene. My mom started crying, and since that day, like my life changed.
Yeah. Man, that's awesome. That's awesome. It's I like to say it's God's work.
Oh, for sure.
Your family was there
for sure.
At the same time you get your scholarship and everything. That's cool. That's cool. So what was your college experience like? Like how was it at FAMU? Like
oh my gosh.
On the court, the off the court stuff, at HBCU is off the court stuff is a little different. Like there's a lot of vibing with the community and everything. So how was that?
Ooh, where did I start? Okay, so first of all, FAMU is lit. It's one of the littest HBCUs out there. Your daddy know, I'm sure he does.
Yeah, he does.
Shout out to that.
Mama, you ain't hear that.
She gonna pop stuff out now. But yeah, Florida. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. That's where so many things happen. Like so many different milestones that I've reached there. For one, learning how to love myself, loving myself as a Black girl, loving my hair. Because where I'm from. Having an afro or curly hair or anything out is considered nappy. So if I wouldn't go out the house with my hair not done because I would be looked at as nappy or raggedy. Right. But in Florida, I saw girls with afros bigger than mine, and I'm just like, that's beautiful. And there, it was beautiful. So I was like, let me try, and I started getting compliments. I'm like, wow. But then even people back at home was like, "Girl, get your hair done. What are you doing?" Because they didn't know, but they weren't woke yet. And I'm just like, I'm not an HBCU. It's Black people everywhere. We love like Black love. Like it was amazing. And so like for that changed my life. But on the basketball aspect, it was very family oriented. The coach was like a mom to me, a mother away from home. When I first went my visit, it was my first time on a plane outside the country.
Wow.
I went by myself, stayed in the hotel. The coach took care of me. So it was pretty much like, okay, now this is real. Like I'm really about to be on my own.
Right.
But my coach, shout out to Coach Gibson, she was there the whole time for me, and it was really amazing. And I actually ended up I would say I kind of was like on a 6-year scholarship. It ended up because my freshman year I played, sophomore year I tore my ACL. Oof. And it was bad, but I had a really good trainer and she helped me get back. So junior year I played and I was better than I was my sophomore year. I played hard. My mental, that was the most important, because my mental was like, I got to get back. And it was hard. Like learning how to walk again is extremely hard. And I started to like really appreciate life more. Just the simple things, walking up the stairs, walking on your own, going to the bathroom in the middle of the night. Like all those things were really looked to as like a blessing to me and a luxury, honestly. So I worked my way up. I got back and I played hard. I did great. And then that was my junior year. My senior year, I tore my other ACL. And not only my ACL, but my ACL, my MCL, my lateral medial meniscus. Yeah. So that happened. And this time I didn't have as much help as I did last time with the trainer because we were in and out of trainers. And so I had to kind of rehab myself and it took longer. And then I worked so much on one leg that I stressed that leg out and I ended up straining my hamstring. So so from the first ACL, I got a red shirt. And then from my second ACL, the first one was a medical red shirt. The second one, I couldn't get a medical red shirt, but I talked to my what was it called? The AD, athletic director. And she was like, look, we can't give you another medical red shirt, but maybe if you write a letter to the NCAA and tell them your story, then they will grant you that because you played less than 8 games, so you can have a regular red shirt. Right. So I did that and they granted it. And nice. I got basically 2 years of like red shirt. So I got my master's and I was going to get my master's regardless, but I got that for free. Now, God would have sat me down and told me, you going to get your master's, but I'm going to break both your knees.
You might not have wanted that too much.
You can keep it. I don't even want it. So yeah, a lot of people like after that thought it was over for me. Like, okay, she got another brace on. Like, here we go again. She hurt again. Like, how does this happen?
Did you have to play with 2 braces?
No. It was 2 years apart.
But, okay.
Yeah. So like the second time I went through a real deep depression. Like gained 30 pounds during the summer. Worked 2 jobs, all of that, and it was hard. But like God, like from the beginning, like just God, period. And that really helped me through it. And so after that, people were like, okay, so now what? Because even after that ACL, I played even harder during my graduate year. And it was different because now I'm 21 and I got 18-year-olds on the team. They're just like, these little girls do not understand. Like the basketball changed. It changed a lot. And like the work ethic and things like that, it changed a lot. So I went through some things when it comes to like giving my energy to teammates and like, why aren't you guys going hard, or why can't we just like stretch normally? And it was towards the end of my career, so I was like, you know what, y'all don't want to like I do. It's cool. So after that, my coach asked me like, you ever thought about playing overseas? I'm like, yes, I want to play overseas. I'm like, okay, say no more. They linked me with an agency, and from then on, a few months after I graduated, I was overseas.
You was overseas already. Oh, well, that leads me into my next question. Like, I obviously have the experience as a male being overseas. What is it like for you as a female being overseas? Because, you know, typically as a male, I don't want to say feel okay being alone, but like we've not as worried about safety. But I know like if my sister were to play overseas, I'd be a little worried. Like, how was it for you, like coming overseas, like your first time, like your experience? Where were you first?
Well, my first time I flew to Czech Republic and I played in a team called Brno.
I know Bruno. I played against him last year. The men's team, obviously.
So it was a little scary, especially my first time, because you're traveling, you don't have a SIM card, there's no communication unless you have Wi-Fi. And for me, I arrived at night. And that was hard because I don't even know what it looks like around here.
Yeah, that's the worst. I hate it.
So I arrived at night. I arrived in Prague, and then we drove to like 2 hours to Brno.
Mm-hmm.
And so after that, it was like I spent the night there, and I couldn't talk to anybody. My mom was worried, like, where's my daughter? What's going on? Mm-hmm. And before I even came overseas, I'm like, dang, people be getting kidnapped, like, you know.
Yeah.
But like, right? But I ain't no little girl, so I was like, I want somebody to try me. Right. You feel me? But so yeah, after that night, it was a lot of like confusion, because the manager was like, okay, I know you don't have a phone, but at this time tomorrow, I'm gonna pick you up in front of the apartment. I said, okay. So when that time came, I was in front of the apartment, so I thought I wasn't. So it was like an hour later, I'm walking around like trying to find somewhere with some Wi-Fi. Yeah. And so I find somebody that's like the lady next to like a soccer game.
Okay.
And she's like, I'm like, excuse me, you speak English? And she was like, I'm like, oh God. Oh, but I speak English. So she called like a kid, and she was like, translate what she's trying to say to me. And so I was like, you speak English? I need like a hotspot or something. So the boy let me use his hotspot. And I texted the manager, and he was like, where are you? I've been looking for you. I'm in the front. I was like, I've been waiting there for you. He said, no, that's the back. I'm in a red car. I've been sleeping in this car waiting for you. I'm just like, yo. So yeah, I got in contact with him, texted my people like, I'm good, I'm okay. And I was like, thank God. So that was pretty much like the beginning of the start. It wasn't good, but once I got settled and everything, I ended up getting like another phone. The president gave me like another small phone, so I had 2 phones I used, and I made it work, and I stayed by myself, so it was cool. It was cool.
Yeah. Man, that's tough though. Your first night overseas. You just flew for the first time 6 years ago, and now you flying overseas, and then you just don't have anything that you're comfortable with. And I almost missed my
flight. I was in Russia. I'm sorry. My flight landed late. I was in Russia. I had a big old duffel bag, a backpack, a blanket. I'm running. They're like, I didn't know nothing about no customs. I had to go through customs. They're like, anybody going to Prague? I'm like, me. That man's, come on. He started running. I'm running too. Like, where we going? Yeah. That airport is huge.
Man.
I'm running, and he sent me to another lady. She's like, come on. She in heels. She run. I'm like, all right, this must be really important. Like, I'm not trying to get left in Russia. I heard about Russia.
Right.
This is before Brittany Griner.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm not trying to be here. So I'm running. I'm sprinting.
Before Brittany Griner.
Before the Brittany Griner. Russia already had a reputation. I was not gonna be in that. Right. So after that, I'm running, and I dropped my blanket, and I didn't notice. And this lady is yelling at me. And I'm like, I'm running like, maybe she's talking to me, because she yelling real loud. I turn around, my blanket on the floor, and she's running to my blanket to pick it up. I'm like, oh, thank you. Yeah. Like, they're not so bad. And I get to the terminal, and I made it. So,
man, that's a crazy first experience. I think my first experience overseas, I didn't have any hiccups until I arrived I was going to Cyprus. Mm-hmm. So I arrived at the airport. The manager, she picks me up. They are like England. So the driver is on the right side. And it threw me all the way off. I opened the door, and I'm like, I don't know. So
I don't know.
I tried to put myself in the back, and I just stood there and waited to see what was going on. So I was like, okay, all right, cool. Now I get into this now. But yeah, that was crazy.
Culture shock for real.
Yeah. So, being someone who's played overseas, how many years now?
4.
4 years.
Yeah.
What do you say is the hardest thing about being here?
Sacrifice.
Sacrifice of being away from your family and.
Yeah, that's one big one. The missing, seeing your younger siblings, your nieces, your nephews, missing births, seeing people grow up, events, things, especially like I'm really close to my family. Mm-hmm. So like seeing them through a phone screen for 8 months is sometimes it does something to you. You feel me?
Hard.
Yeah. And especially like, because in college, I rarely went home. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I stayed for the summer, so they didn't see me much. And then right after college, I go overseas. Mm-hmm. So they're really not going to see me, Yeah. And just like when I do go home, I cherish those moments, because it's like, it's going to be a long time until I see you again. And you're going to be walking, and you barely crawling right now. So, So I would say sacrifice for sure, especially when you're in a relationship. Mm-hmm. I'm in a relationship, and it's hard. And then not only do I have to sacrifice, but he has to sacrifice as well. Yeah. So it's like, some people are like, oh, why didn't he come visit you? Oh, it's not that easy.
It's not that
yeah,
easy.
He got a life, he got a job too, you know, so it's not that easy. But I would say the most rewarding thing about it is that this is what I've been wanting to do since I was a baby girl, you know, and it's like he knew what it was before we met.
Right,
So it's like that's the hardcore truth. But at the same time, it's like you and I are a team, and I'm sacrificing, and you're sacrificing as well. If you want to be me, you're gonna sacrifice. And he's been doing that for 4 years. So
dang, that's awesome though. That's awesome. I ain't gonna lie. I did it once before. I told my girl I ain't doing it again. No, man.
And long distance is no joke.
Long distance is too hard. It's too tough. Yeah. But so you played in a few countries. Which one would you say is your favorite and why? Like, is it the on the court along with the off the court, or one just was so much better that it made it a great place to be?
That's a good question. España.
Because
of where I lived, it was amazing. Last year, I was like 10 minutes walking from the beach. Before practice, I'd be have a sheet out, I'd be on the beach chilling. Go to practice, go back to the beach, with a sheet out. My teammates were really cool, very professional. We did really good in our league. But that was more so for the living situations. Yeah, they're pretty professional with everything. My apartment was great. Went out, a little party life. I liked the party. The party life was cool too. And I also met some locals that would support our team. So they became close friends. That's always
important, is to meet some locals that can make it almost like a second home, at least for that time.
Yeah, outside the team as well. Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
But when it comes to teams, the best team that I've been on when it comes to professionalism, I'll say Slovakia.
Really?
Yes, but that was the worst place to live when it comes to when seeing stuff around. There was really nothing to do. So I just worked out 3 times a day. And
what is the landscape like there? Because
mountains.
It's mountains. Okay, I mean that's nice, right?
Yeah. But they're very professional. They had a car. I had 2 meals a day. I barely had to get any groceries. I had a personal trainer, and he was like, "Come anytime." I had massages, 2-3 massages every week whenever I wanted, and not no regular massage. It was deep tissue massage. Yes, I learned so much about my body, mobility. I was in the best headspace, in the best physical shape there. So that team right there was they have a close place in my heart.
I've never heard of anybody that played in Slovakia, so to hear that makes me be like, man, maybe I missed on something.
I don't know. It's different for men's women,
Yeah, maybe it is a little different. Yeah. So outside of basketball, what's some of your favorite hobbies? Things that I'll give you a background to this. When I first turned pro, one of the first things I asked one of my vets was what's something that you would advise? And he tells me all the time, have a hobby, have something that you do outside of basketball that takes your brain away from basketball, so that you're not just in basketball and you burn yourself out before the end of the season. So what's one of your favorite hobbies to do outside of basketball? I know it's painting. You've been to my house multiple times painting, so I know it's painting.
Yeah, that's one of them. That's for sure one of them. Another one is I do poetry. I'm a really deep thinker, and I'm also a critical thinker. So I like to do poetry as well. Journaling, I haven't done it in a minute. I need to get back to it. But journaling for one is another one.
Hold on, before you continue, let's get back to this poetry. What kind of poetry are we talking? Rhyming? We free verse? What's the subject? We talking love? We talking pain?
Honestly, I kind of a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything?
I rhyme. I could be a ghostwriter for if I wanted.
Hey, yo. You think you got bars?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. I've been doing this since I was young, so poetry for sure. And I don't really do a lot on Netflix. A lot of people watch Netflix. I don't do that.
You know, watching shows or no, not really.
I watch podcasts.
I love
singing and dancing, traveling for sure. Travel as much as I can. If coach is like, "Oh, you got 3 days off," I'm out. I'm out. Let me know the days. But yeah, I love treating myself to traveling. For Christmas, I went to London by myself, and I have friends out there, which helps. And also, I have friends everywhere, so that's why it's really it's great to be, a good person and learn and meet the locals and you never know who you might meet, So.
Yeah, and you never know when you may be back in that country, and then at least you get some familiarity and stuff like that.
Yeah, I got family all over the world.
Exactly. Like this whole setup right here.
Big flex. Yeah.
So I got just a couple more questions. What are your future plans for your career, for your basketball career? And then the second question on top of that is, what are you planning to do post-career?
Okay, so my future plans of my career, I actually thought this year was going to be my last year. I was like, I'm sick of this. Like, oh, God. So I was really like, I was, what's the word? Not overwhelmed, but it was just like burnout. I felt like I was burnt out, and it was in the beginning, and a lot of it had to do with this team because I'm just like, ain't no way I'm gonna play a whole season.
I remember when we first met, you was kind of like American.
Man, I seen melanin, I'm like, yo, cousin. So yeah, I didn't even know we had a men's team, none of that. Yeah. But yeah, no, you guys definitely helped me, like my mental for sure, because like I was out here, like I have teammates, cool, but like being by yourself in a city, which I've done before for a whole season, it's not easy. And just having the little getaways and like speaking with people and sharing your feelings and listening to their feelings and stuff, it really does like make a big difference in life for sure. So yeah, I forgot what the question was.
So are you gonna continue to play, or
okay, decided to continue to play? So yeah, I ended up changing my mind because I'm like I feel like that was just a little phase, and I'm doing pretty good this season too. So I'm like, I can't go out like that.
I mean, 20-11, it's a EuroLeague team. I ain't gonna, you know what I'm saying?
I can't. Ain't
nothing. Ain't nothing now.
Yeah, imagine if they pass the ball. Yeah, they gonna watch this too. Pass the ball. Anyway. My coach. No, my teammates I'm not playing that shit. But stuff. So yeah, but yeah, I do want to continue to play. Don't know where, but
let's say you get to pick exactly where you're going. What country are you picking?
I would say Spain.
Spain.
I was so happy in Spain. Yeah. Spain. I want to say Turkey, but they be acting weird sometimes. Yeah. I love Turkey though. Spain, Turkey, possibly Greece if they act right, because sometimes they have like money situations.
With the money in the men's league, they're late with the money, and that if you can deal with that, then
and I don't want to, so we gonna X that out. Yeah. I almost went to China. Nobody knows that.
China is nice. The living, I've been told from people that have played there, the living is not the best.
They stay in hotels.
They stay in hotels, so it's like not. But they're like the nice hotels, like you get the penthouse and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like
they got little robots that come to the door and give you food and stuff, like really high tech. Yeah. But like they run for 3 hours, and I'm like, shoot, I'll run for 3 hours for that paycheck. Right. They said 15K is the minimum. I said, I'm like,
that's a lot. That is a lot.
I'll be there. So I do actually. I want to play in Asia. I don't know where. Yeah, I don't know where. But see, the thing about this, I always tell people like, I don't play basketball overseas for basketball overseas, because I can play good basketball in America. I play basketball to do what I love to do and get paid to do it, and to travel for free. So it's like it's everything together. If I hated traveling, if I hated being alone, I wouldn't do this.
Right.
And to people that's watching this, if you guys don't like being by yourself, if your mental is not right, do not do it, because you're gonna end up going right back home.
That's a fact.
And I've seen a lot of people go through like mental issues because they're homesick, or they feel like they're alone, or depressed, anxiety, all that, and it's a serious thing. And your mental health is extremely serious. So if you can't be alone for a long amount of time, reconsider for sure, because it's not easy.
And also, I'll add on to that. Understand, at some point, regardless of how much of a veteran you become, at some point you're going to feel that. Yeah. You're still going to feel that homesick, that you just tired of dealing with all the extra stuff that you got to deal with, because there is extra stuff you have to deal with coming over here. Yeah. But you just have to put things into perspective and understand that you're doing something that you love. You're making this sacrifice now so that you have a better life later on. And if you can keep that perspective, you kind of help yourself to get through those moments.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard. It's
Mhm.
not easy at all. That's why there are some guys that are NBA talents and they come over here and then they have to go back to the G League because it's like, I can't deal with all that.
So, it doesn't matter how much money you have if your mental not right.
Exactly.
It's not safe, sweetheart.
Exactly.
It's not safe.
We talked about this with Uzi. Like, mental health is so important when it comes to sports. Like that, it goes from confidence.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of mental health. Confidence that I can be here, confidence that I can play, confidence that I play well, and then also the mental health part where you understand like you're making a sacrifice and it's hard, but there's a reason for that sacrifice.
Mm-hmm. Yes, like and another thing, when it's like when you go overseas, it's difficult because your life in America is on pause. That's how I feel. I don't know if anybody else, because some people have like different things going on, but for me, like my life is on pause. So for me to try and go and only have 4 months, basically the summer, to figure out like what I'm going to do in my career when I'm done with this, it's difficult to set up because it's like jobs looking for, how long are you going to be here? Like I can't keep looking for temporary jobs and I'm about to be 30 years old.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's just like, I really have to like buckle down and find out what I'm gonna do. But that's why networking is so important for me.
Very important.
And when I go home, the first thing I do, I'm hitting up so this and this and this. Let's meet up. Let's talk. What's up? You know. And that's been working for me because I did last summer and I met a lot of amazing people. But to go on to your next question, what I plan to do after basketball, I want to go back to school because I'm a master's in psychology. I want to get my PhD in sports psychology.
Hey girl, go ahead. I can't do school. I'm sorry.
I'm a nerd.
I did enough.
I'm a nerd. I love it.
I was a nerd too, and I still did enough.
I know. But I'm really big on like I'm gonna do what I say I'm gonna do. And like since I was a kid, like I said, like I've always wanted to be a professional basketball player. And at first it was the NBA, WNBA, until I learned about the WNBA, and I was like, nah. And then I learned about overseas, and I was like, that's what I want to do, and I'm doing it. And now, like I learned about my PhD in sports psychology, and I chose that because remember I told you I went through a depression, and I love sports and I love psychology, so why not? But at the same time, I think everybody needs some type of like help, like therapy, and their mental is extremely important, especially in any sport, not just basketball. And so sometimes I think like if I had a sports psychologist at my HBCU, maybe I wouldn't have gained 30 pounds, or maybe I would know more about myself at an earlier time, and I could save a lot of stress and anxiety and things I went through. Right. So I want to become what I needed when I was in need of help, basically, and help other students, especially Black athletes, to really buckle down and find themselves and find out what to do with themselves when they feeling like, I don't know what to do, or I don't know why I'm feeling like this.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's good. Well, again, I thank you for coming. You know what I'm saying, sis? Thank you. Happy birthday. Hey, don't do that. Don't do that. This, you see this tomfoolery? Come on, man. But anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. Like, subscribe, share, and this was Courtside Chronicles Cafe.